Hello, this is Kevin from Middle Ground, a Star Wars podcast, and today I'm here for the first time solo to just give some brief speculation on what I think the very first episode of Bad Batch is going to be, just based on the trailer and the sizzle reel footage that they put out at D23. This isn't based on any insider knowledge I don't have any, and this also will not be including any leaks that I've seen. There is one confirmed leak, but that will not be mentioned here. So just for the general plot of this first episode, the setup for the show, I think, given the time period, given the fact that they're clones, it would be a really good idea to set it just before Order 66 gets unleashed. It would be a good way to reintroduce the characters. They were only seen in one arc in the most recent season, final season of the Clone Wars, for 4 episodes. So this would be a good way to reintroduce the characters, show how they're different from other clones, and establish them as a unit, especially now with Echo in the team. So the way I think it's going to play out is there will be just a random battle on the Clone Wars. Maybe it's a planet we've seen before, maybe it's not, something new. And the normal clones, the regs, are going to be outnumbered, outgunned, until Bad Batch shows up, and each of them is going to do their own thing. Tech is going to do something technical. We'll see Echo be the straight man of the group. Obviously, he's modified, but not genetically like the other ones were at birth. Soon after this, I think we will see Order 66 get issued, either with a Jedi general leading the battle, or the clones will get the order and they'll start hunting Jedi, or however the battle would play out. I think it would be better if there actually was a Jedi on the battlefield at the time to really show Order 66 from another perspective. We've gotten that a couple of times in the new canon now. Jedi Fallen Order is the first one that comes to mind, as well as the Kanan comic series. But the big differentiating factor will be that the Bad Batch does not commit Order 66. You could either explain this a couple of different ways. Perhaps they weren't able to put the chips in, or they have the chips in there but they're malfunctioned, or they were never able to properly work because they're not like normal clones. And Echo would probably have his removed when he had the cybernetics put in, something like that. Just explain it away to where the Bad Batch doesn't actually commit Order 66. And the other clones are going to look at them, they're both sides, the regular clones and the Bad Batch, are going to look at each other differently, to the point where it gets sent to high command or spread amongst to the higher ranks that Bad Batch is acting strange. They didn't commit Order 66. They're acting weird, and they're going to get sent as a whole back to Kamino. As we see in the trailer, I believe it's on Kamino. They see Palpatine's speech from Revenge of the Sith where he declares the Empire. They would also be sent back to Kamino for reconditioning, as we see from the official trailer, where Tarkin puts them through the training course. And what we're going to see there, I believe, is while the Bad Batch is efficient at carrying out the actual mission, they're not good at following orders, and I feel like that's going to be a big theme here, especially post-Order 66 clones, is going to be orders. It'll harken back to one of the more famous Clone Wars arcs, the Darkness on Umbara, the whole thing with, obeying orders versus what's right, and sometimes that they clash, those ideals. And that's what I believe Tarkin is going to see, and that's why he's there. He's overseeing the last of the clones. And while he's there, he's going to evaluate the Bad Batch and see that they're just not up to snuff with the other clones in terms of obeying. That's when I believe they're going to be put on sort of a hiatus. They're not going to be put in active duty. They haven't decided quite what to do with the Bad Batch yet. That's when they're going to meet Omega, the small girl that I believe was confirmed to be a clone. If not, that's what I'm going with. She's going to be the last clone. People picked up on the name Omega, meaning the last of, like, Alpha and Omega, I am the beginning, I am the end, that type thing. So what's going to make her different, obviously, aside from being the first and only female clone that we know of, is I believe she's going to be Force sensitive. I feel that would be a way to work in the Force, incorporate it. Every Star Wars show, to some degree, has an element of the Force. Even Resistance had Kylo Ren in Season 2. None of the main characters were Force sensitive, mind you, at least that we know of. But that'll be a way to make her different and stand out on top of just being the only female clone. And the Bad Batch is going to see similarities between themselves and her, and whatever type of experiments they're going to try and do with Omega. That's what I believe they created her, a Force-sensitive clone. Maybe try and tie it into the sequels somehow and sort of plant the idea that Force-sensitive clones are possible, or at least in the testing phases as far back as the end of the prequel trilogy. And I also feel like that would give them more of a reason to want to keep her safe and protect her, because I believe that is when Bad Batch goes rogue. They see that there's this girl that's like them, that's going to get tested on, experimented, or maybe something even more heinous, and they're going to say, we morally object to this in the Empire. And over the course of the first episode, they're going to see, the Republic is not the Republic anymore, it's the Empire, and they don't want to serve in that. So they're going to take her and run off, and basically the entire series is going to be semi-episodic. And what I mean by that is each episode will have them maybe jumping from planet to planet, trying to either hide the Omega or find a place for her. Now, this does sound a little bit too Mandalorian-esque. I realize that, saying it now. But maybe instead of finding an actual, physical home for her, find a place for her within their own ranks. Maybe they'll be mercenaries, something like that. I know people have toyed with the idea of this show finishing some of the unfinished Clone Wars arcs, like the Cad Bane and Boba Fett one, and that would be a way to do it. But having said that, I don't think this show is going to go that route of wiping up old Clone Wars arcs, because if you look at those arcs, they're not Bad Batch centered. There was one on Kashyyyk, but that was before Order 66. So I don't feel like it's what the show's going to do, or the show's responsibility to mop up old Clone Wars episodes. Now, I would love if there was more Clone Wars episodes, specifically the ones they never actually did, but I don't think we're going to get that from this show. Just as for some more brief, random things I think might happen, Cody might show up. I think that would be interesting to see them, especially because we've seen Rex in the show based on that trailer. And I think they'll go to Rex trying to help her, because she is, according to my, theory or speculation, she would be Force sensitive. So finding a clone that could help a Force sensitive being during this time period in Star Wars when they are getting literally executed would make sense. I think for most of the season they're going to be on the run, and as we've seen in the trailer, they team up with Saw Gerrera at some point. So I think they're going to start planting seeds here and there of the rebellion. Obviously, they won't go full scale, because as we've seen in Rebels, at least the early seasons, there isn't a fully formed rebellion, nothing substantial yet. But I think perhaps the season will end with them forming some sort of minor rebellion that may lead into things later on, but it won't be anything grand scale, and obviously won't lead to anything major. Now, as I'm wrapping up here, there is just one minor thing I would love to see, but I don't think is going to happen in any way, shape, or form. Do not take this as me predicting what's going to happen in the show, but I would absolutely love to see Delta Squad hunt the Bad Batch, especially because there's similarities between the teams. There's a video I'm working on right now where I'm going to talk about why I love Republic Commando, in the game specifically, not the books. I haven't read any of them. There are similarities. You have a guy that is very good with tech, a guy that loves heavy weapons, you got a sniper, you got a leader. And while I do think Delta Squad's a bit more nuanced than the Bad Batch, they're not as one note, it would be cool to see them do something more in canon than what we've seen just from the one Clone Wars episode, which was a nice nod from Dave Filoni. I believe the episode was Witches of the Mist. It was a nice way to introduce them into canon, and now with the Disney wipe of continuity, it's the only thing of canon we have with Delta Squad, so I think that would be a cool way to incorporate them. Another squad of 4 hunting another squad. So that's basically all I have for speculation. This could all be wrong. I feel like some of this might be right. I'm about 75% sure that at least, a couple of these things are going to be true. This is not me making some type of wild fan theory or speculatory video where I'm thinking this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. If none of this happened, I would be fine. This is just speculation on my part, obviously. But that's all I have really for the Bad Batch. I'm excited for the show. More Star Wars TV shows, it's all good. So that's going to do it for me on the Star Wars Middle Ground podcast. You can follow us on Instagram. Trying to be more I know I say that every episode, but I'm trying to be more active on there. We are on SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes. So be sure to follow us there, and you can watch us on YouTube. I'm trying to be a bit more visual with the videos than just having a static image. So expect more from me and Max. Take care.